morning, Rob Powell, Operations Section Chief, Rocky Mountain Type 1 team, here assigned to the Coal Hollow Fire. I'll give you our morning update. What I talked about yesterday being we were expecting the fire to move, and it sure did yesterday afternoon, late afternoon. What happened was we had several big heads coming off the fire in 3 divisions. Thunderstorm went over the top of it, erratic winds, and then the column collapsed and it just blew fire everywhere. So that triggered a couple things, and I'll go over that as I discuss this further. So I'll start up here with branch 2. This is the Highway 6 corridor. When all this stuff happened, when it blew up, it slammed into the face of this on the other side of the highway, which triggered that we had a closure from the 189 junction all the way down to past the rest area, Schofield Road. That's a hard closure, and it'll remain that way for a considerable amount of time. When that happened, it burned the power poles off of these lines across here and here, and once that happened, it drooped down below the supports, and we had to shut down the train. The train had to stop. The highway was closed. Just a whole bunch of stuff that went on. Of course, closing the highway, there were still a whole bunch of folks heading back to Salt Lake, and they were kind of in there for a while. Got them out safely, but just so you guys know, that Highway 6 is going to be closed for a while, so plan appropriately. This morning, we've got a pretty good chance of catching this where it slopped over here across the highway, heading up towards the repeater site up here on Tier Mountain. Hopefully we can catch that, but it's in really light fuels, a lot of cheatgrass, juniper, that type of stuff. Rolled down into the canyon. We're working on picking that up with hand crews and helicopters right now as we speak. So coming back down there here, Division Mike. This made a hard push towards the highway, but we held it. Held everything along the highway still. We're still working to keep that secure from crossing over farther in here. Really want to keep it out of this this part of the forest, and this is the Wasatch Cache National Forest over here. So Division Q, remember I talked about we were taking hand line and dozer up around to this point and tie up on the top of Tango. At the same time that column collapsed, it blew fire out across our control line here. It's established down in this lower part here, several spots. So we're kind of regrouping. We're going to try to anchor off of what we can up here and try to hook this and continue back down to drop point 52. Still a lot of livestock up in here. I think there's 6,000 sheep that are being herded around up in here. We're trying to get them moved out of the way. That'll continue today. Tango, everything in Tango was pretty good. We did have a couple slops over the line, but we picked them up. Everything's looking good up here on the south end of the fire. Coming back to the division break and x-ray. This portion here took a pretty hard run, as you can see. These fresh new lines that are here, kind of working our way back down to where we're going to have to figure out what's a good next best ridge to pick this up. So we're working on that today. Coming down into Division Zulu, that is still valid. What we got going on here is it did not cross the Lake Fork Road. It's still up above that as looking at our IR flight that we got last night. And then coming down into Juliet, if you remember, we took a hand line up this way, up to the top of these ridges, and then we're going to tie back into here for this line to kind of go them a little bit more direct. Well, we got run out of there too when this thing kind of stood up and made that hard push this way. It flanked the highway really hard. So we had to get the crews out of there. They re-engaged this morning. Actually, re-engaged last night once things calmed down, and continued to work on getting that line in, and then this morning they're going to work on that again. Got several hours of prep work to do, and the plan is for today, once they get that line in place, then we're going to fire this line back down into the Highway 6 corridor. So we got an inversion over the fire right now. It's lifting. Once that's done, they hope to be able to just hand light this back down the highway and then secure that so we don't have anything. We got a pretty good heel, then we can show more containment. And that brings us right back down into division light. Structure group. We had a house right down in here that was imminently threatened. We did not lose any structures yesterday when this made that hard run. They did a good job in there, the crews and the structure group. They're still assessing stuff out in here over towards to the west here. Doing a good job with that. Yesterday when the fire pooched out and got established across the highway, these lines right here, I'll explain these a little bit, that you're seeing here. These are management action points that trigger actions that we're going to do. So once that crossed that triggered the actions that we needed to take here, and that included evacuations. So evacuations went all the way from the Highway 6 corridor all the way up to Diamond Fork Road and the campgrounds and structures to the north. So that's up in here. So all of this area has been evacuated. A lot of folks camping up in that portion of the forest, working with forest leadership and county folks. We felt it was the best thing to get them out of here because a lot of RVs, horse trailers, stuff that's going to take a while to get out of there. So we decided to pull that trigger early and get them out of there before we get another hard push up towards there. So just an explanation on what these things mean. It's just these lines like here are things that happen if the fire crosses or approaches. Then we do things like notify subdivisions, local officials and everything, and then they do the evacuations and whatnot. Still have a pretty good Air Force, Type 1 helicopters. We are getting a short haul ship in today, which allows us to get in rougher country and pull an injured firefighter out and get them to a place on a road where we can get them in an ambulance and get them out of there. We did not have, I guess we did have one injury yesterday. One of the hot shots coming up in here fell, bruised his ribs, but that's about all the injuries that we've had so far. No structures lost, very few injuries, extreme fire behavior, all divisions, and we feel pretty good about that. We're going to be here a while, and it's a beautiful place. Hopefully we can get a break from Mother Nature and give us a hand. Doesn't look like it's going to be for a little while yet, but we'll still be here. We'll give you the best updates that we can. Put some photos on the Coal Hollow fire, information and whatnot. Brenda's sending that out, Brenda, our PIO. And with that, that's about it. Say hi to my granddaughters, Melina and Lydia. They're going camping this weekend, so see you soon.